I put a little bit of my bio in the PowerPoint for you to look at. But I think what's most important is that you know that I've had the question recently a lot. How do you stay? Why don't you quit? I mean, this is so crazy, and why would we ever do this? But I have to be honest, I have found peace with all of this, and it's my greatest pleasure, and I feel it to be a true privilege to be in this with you all. And I feel like our kids need us now more than ever as educators and as present parents. And so I wouldn't quit for $1 million. This is the time for us to show up strong. And so as an Arroyo staff, we're committed to that. And we've been working hard to get our mindset there. Our teachers have been participating in some very rigorous trainings to make sure that you and your students are supported for distance learning and are supported in the event that we come back. So the only thing we know is that everything keeps changing and is going to keep changing, and that's okay because we're ready to evolve right alongside of all of the changes. So one of the things we decided we will say is, what are our guiding principles? What are we passionate about? And what's a fun fact? So one thing I've become very passionate about over this closure time is the environment and the outdoors. So I've been finding a lot of joy in getting outside and taking hikes and long walks on the beach. So I'm super passionate about the environment. And the timing is great because the state has put out some new environmental literacy standards. So we'll be weaving those into our year, and we'll be moving forward with that again next year. And a fun fact is that I'm a 7th generation Native Californian. I don't know if that's a big deal anymore these days, but so yeah, born and raised here. Back in the day when it was orange groves and strawberry fields. And so my heart is here in Orange County, particularly in the city of Orange and in Tustin. So I have 3 kids. I've been married for 23 years, and all of my kids are either in Tustin or products of Tustin. So I'm very invested in us as a district and in the work as an educator. So that's me. Now I'm going to let Melissa, you're up here double, but we're going to let our teachers tell you a little bit about who they are. And before they do that, I want to share with you that they've taken some time to define what their guiding principles are for this school year so that we can be aligned as we collaborate and work through navigate some difficult waters. So you'll see it in the PowerPoint, but to nurture relationships, to balance the learning of your students and of themselves on and off screen, and to make learning accessible and inclusive for all students. And so they're going to talk a little bit about how that will look and introduce themselves to you. So Mrs. Hendershot, if you want to unmute. You're still muted. I think you've got to go into the unmute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you go. You're ready.
Ms. Duff, were you talking about the guiding principles?
No, that's all we're doing now. You're just introducing yourself.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that was quick. So I'm Melissa Hendershot, and welcome back. I recognize some faces out there from the past years. I have been at Arroyo for 25 years, and I have been teaching this is my 35th year, so quite a few, and 33 of those have been in kindergarten. So a lot of kindergarten experience, a lot of amazing kindergarten children. Why do I love teaching? Well, who doesn't love spending their day with a bunch of wonderful children and watching that kindergarten magic happen? There's nothing like it. I know these are the future leaders of our world, but there are a lot of foundational skills that I get to give them to help them to grow up to become those leaders. And so that is why I'm so passionate about working with children this age. And a fun fact, when I was 5, I was going to grow up and get married to the boy next door. His name was Scotty, and we were going to live in a purple house. and that didn't happen. And also, when I was in kindergarten, I could not distinguish between blue and purple, which is very interesting. It's on my report card, which is kind of funny because I love the creative part of teaching, and I love colors and could not figure out the difference between the two. So that's kind of a fun fact for me.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Stotts. Miss Stotts.
There I am. Good afternoon, families. It's so good to be with you. And it's such a privilege to work with Mrs. Shaka and along with Ms. Duff and Mrs. Hendershot. And I've been teaching 30 years, 25 years here at Arroyo. My first 5 years were in San Diego, where I was born and raised and still have family in that area. And I have taught other grade levels, but including 5th grade and 6th grade and 4th grade. However, my heart is in kindergarten. And the reason why I love to teach kindergarten is because, like what Mrs. Hendershot said, I just enjoy experiencing the wonder of learning that is magical in kindergarten. And just the wonderment, their laughter, and just their eagerness to learn. So that's why I enjoy teaching kindergarten. And then one fun fact is that I'm a 3rd generation teacher. My grandmother started teaching in a one-room schoolhouse in Wisconsin. And she started teaching when she was 18 years old. And what's fun is my cousin is now a health clerk at the school where my grandmother ended her career. And when I go back to Wisconsin to visit family, my mom will point out the one-room schoolhouses that she taught in that have now been changed into homes. So I think it's in my blood. So those are some fun facts.
I think it is too. I think it is too. All right, Miss Duff. Thank you, Mrs. Stotts.
Hi. Okay, am I on? I'll click myself so I can see. Pin.
Yes, you're on.
Thank you. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Arroyo. For some of you, welcome back. This is my 30th year of teaching as well. Yes, you see a pattern here. I have taught kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. I have been with Tustin Unified for 30 years. I am also a 3rd generation teacher. My grandmother taught in Tustin in the 30s and 40s, and my mom taught from the 70s to the 90s. And the other rule of 3 is that I have been on 3 game shows. So that was my kudos, my Family Feud. Don't go searching for it. It doesn't exist. And Price is Right, and most recently Wheel of Fortune. And this is my wonderful dog. She's here with us today. This is Magnolia. She is a certified therapy dog. So she comes to class, and she is a Read With Me dog and is certified for the next 2 years. And behind me is my fantastic aide, Miss Emily. She's here to help me today. So we're a team, and teams work well with lots of your fabulous children, so we will make it through. The reason I fell in love with teaching, I think it was mostly the supplies. When I was a kid, I loved, pens and my mom's crayons and going to her classroom and taking things home with me. So I think the supplies started it, but really it's a passion for watching kids blossom and grow and learn and mature in all different speeds. So welcome again to Arroyo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ms. Duff. Thank you, everybody. I wanted to just bring to your attention that we do have a Q&A sheet. So I'm on the next slide now where it says got questions. And as we move along, if you have questions about about anything, go ahead and put them in there, or later when you're reflecting, if you have questions, put them in there. And then as a team, we're going to respond to those within 24 hours. And that way we'll be able to stay within our time frame here and kind of scoot us along. But we recognize that you'll probably have questions as they come up. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, okay? So the next piece is the schedule. I know, oh good, the list shows we have 31. Okay, perfect. Would it help if I go into presentation mode, or are you guys, yeah, you want me to, even though you can look at this later, you just want, okay, let me go into presentation mode. We weren't going to do that for a reason, but it's fine. So let me go to where I can get that. Just a second here. Oops. Okay. And could somebody just use your voice and tell me if you're here or if you can see it, because I can't see you.
We can see it.
Okay, great. So we're going to go backwards a little bit here. So this is the doc for questions. You just click right on here and a link will pop up and there you go. So you just put your questions and then we'll go ahead and put the responses so that everybody can see them. Okay. And then the next one is the schedule. So I just wanted to bring to your attention. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge something before we go into the schedule, and that is that in meeting our tremendous teachers, you just heard that we've got about 95 years of kindergarten teacher experience between these three outstanding educators. So one thing we know is as we move forward, our ship will not sink. We are committed to that. We will creatively figure out how to make this work with you and with your students. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But I wanted to just assure you that the expertise that your students will be experiencing in these teachers is just top notch. So I'm confident that we are going to have a successful year, even if it sort of ebb and flows, okay? Hopefully you received my Mustang news. So over here, it's Mustang news. So that is what I was calling Principal Sheikah's share out. I just thought, let's start calling it Mustang news. But I'm still the one behind it, okay? All of the details for everything that we'll talk about today and everything you need to know to set your student up for success come Thursday are inside of that newsletter. So it will show you how to help your student log on into their device, whatever device it's going to be. It will help you with any parent information videos that you would like on Schoology or Florida Virtual, which are the platforms we're going to be using for supporting your kids. It gives you a little bit of a what video, like what in the heck is this anyway, and how, and then the how-tos are in there as well. So there is a lot of information to synthesize and to really read through. And so please take time to do that, okay? The schedule, and then just to say that as we begin, teachers will ease your student into all of those processes. So we do not plan to hit the ground pedal to the metal. They're going to begin kindergarten like they would begin it in the classroom. And we'll talk to you about that in just a minute as well. Okay, so the schedules right now, you've already received those. You've received your AM/PM session. And just so you know that the schedules are closed. So I am not able right now to move any other kids between AM and PM. You're welcome to send me an email if that's a concern, and you're welcome to get on a wait list. But we are heavily impacted in AM. I'm not just saying that, and I can't keep trying to squeeze kids in there. Because what's going to happen is when we reopen, we won't be following then the appropriate numbers we need to follow to allow for social distancing inside of the classroom. So it's not the teachers. They're willing to take all 30 at once. That's what they typically do. And it's not me. I'm willing to grab them. But we've got to stay within our safety protocols. All right. And so now Ms. Duff is going to talk a little bit about just maybe easing your mind. We know kids come to us at all different levels. And so go ahead, Miss Duff, if you'd like.
Thank you. I know Mrs. Shaka sent out kind of our list of our expectations and our standards for students. I know you probably received letter sounds, sight words, some hints on how to get them started. And we understand that children come with all varying levels of abilities. We have some kids who are reading, and we have some kids who are still identifying letters and sounds. So we know there's a huge range, and we're your partners in this journey, and we promise you it all comes together in time. There's no magic pill. It's not overnight, but we're here to help you guide your child through that learning process to our end goal of reading. They all develop at different levels and different speeds. So just bear that in mind. We don't expect that from the beginning, and we don't want you to expect or do any comparisons. So I know even your own children are different in the way that they learn and how quickly they learn. So let us guide your learning, and we will grow together.
Thanks, Ms. Duff. And then the first day of school, we've got some plans and some supplies. And so I believe Mrs. Hendershot, were you the one talking about this one last
Yes.
night?
Yes.
Thank you. Perfect.
So we know that this year, of course, you're going to be doing activities at home. And on a virtual learning platform, a lot of it is online, but we also want to supply you with some things just for some practice and things that we'll be doing when we're teaching your children in class. And so that would include, pencils and pens and crayons and some things, some manipulatives for the children to move around or to play with, and those types of things on different activities. So we, after our meets on Thursday, both our AM and PM session, we're going to have a time for you to drive up to Arroyo, just a quick wave and greet to the new teacher. And we will be giving you some supplies to keep at home. And then these supplies that we give you will come back to school whenever that happens for our hybrid session. Or if you're staying at home and doing all of your learning at home, they'll stay at home for the year, and then we'll collect them later. So we have some really neat things for the boys and girls to get them excited. We're excited too. It's hard for us in our creative teaching to not have some supplies and to do some creative things, because we know that with virtual learning, we don't always get that fine motor work happening. And so we want to give the boys and girls an opportunity to have some fine motor experiences and to make our learning stretch beyond a screen. And so there will be, I see it up on the schedule. Those are just our scheduled times. So we'll get that information out at 1. I'll be in the upper lot by kindergarten playground area. Miss Stott's families can come to the lower lot to get supplies, and then Miss Duff's class will follow mine at 1:45 on that afternoon. I think that's it.
Thank you. And teachers will send you an email recapping that the day before school. So you're good there. Okay, and then Ms. Stotts, you were going to discuss the importance of routines and predictable schedules for our kids.
Yes. So one of the things that we are all experiencing as families, if you have older children, is the virtual learning in the springtime, and we've all gone into summer, and we're in the summer mode. And so the routines and that you are going to be setting and we're going to be setting together really are going to start your child off on the right foot, so that when we transition into the classroom and that happens, those routines are in place. So one of the things is that we would like you to continue to incorporate is to getting to bed at an age appropriate time for your family, for your child, and have that to be at a consistent time. So they do need a lot of rest and sleep. And so if you can put a school time, bedtime routine in place as we get started. And then to start our day, we're just asking that you have your child to be school ready. And so what that means is that we start our Google Meets on time, and to have your child be ready for that Google Meet. Some ideas that we would like you to make sure that you have in place is, one, we would like the children to be dressed and out of their pajamas. And I know it's tempting to have them just roll into the pajamas and be comfy, but we are asking that you set that protocol in place for them, just so that they shift their thinking and that I am in school and this is the time to learn. The other thing that we ask is that you give your child plenty of time to eat breakfast or lunch, depending on your school schedule, and give them plenty of time so they can finish their meal completely before going on to the Google Meet. We're going to just ask again that it's like they're in the classroom and they're not eating while on the meeting, but leave the times of finishing their breakfast, or when we do take a little break, make sure you give them enough time to complete that meal. Another thought that we would like you to think of is that you have just a work area in place that they know is consistently their work area, and that they have their supplies there. And one last tip is, if you could have them sit in front of their iPad or laptop a few minutes before school starts, so that they have time to sign in and be ready to start. And with all those practices in place, and again, being ready to learn, knowing that this is school, so that when we transition to the hybrid model, some of those systems and procedures are already in place, and hopefully that will be a smooth transition for your child.
Thank you, Ms. Stotts. And then parents, the links are here. So I'm going to go ahead and, so there's a little, if you need any inspiration on how to create that student learning space in the home. And then on here, if you want to mess around with this document, just make yourself a copy in Google Docs, and you're able, maybe you have a sitter who's going to help with the kiddos, or maybe it's mom one day and dad the other, and you want to create a to-do list for whomever it is that may be helping out with the process, and you could use that for any aged student. And then I added some of the points that Ms. Stotts just said too on the slide that I'll send with you to follow up. And then, so the next part is back to school night. So first of all, just keep in mind again that everything that we're sharing in terms of the start of the year will be emailed out to you before school starts as a reminder. And then the back to school night will be next Tuesday. And so teachers will have had about 4 days logging in with your kiddos and working with you. And then they'll talk you through whatever else they may need, or kind of what are the next steps come back to school night. So we are having back to school night for both sessions. So the kindergarten session is 5 to 5:30, and that's for AM and PM. And for anybody who's struggling with logging on, at that point, you will definitely have your child's login information, and you should be able to log in under their account with no problem. That information is all available inside of the Aries Parent Portal, okay? And in the SMORE, it tells you how to get that information. Let's see. We will also have parent conferences one way or another about 6 weeks after school starts. So that's another time that you'll be able to talk with your teacher, okay? And they'll explain that at back to school night as well. Let's see. I want to just kind of go back and see if I'm thinking of anything else. As far as, do we know when we're opening or when we're closing? We do not. We don't know. I think you probably all got I want to stop presenting. Okay. I think you may have all received the email from Dr. Franklin sharing that numbers could be moving down, and we could end up getting off of the watch list a little bit sooner than maybe we thought we would. that's just to kind of make sure we're all aware that the district has the intention of reopening school. The board has the intention and hopes of reopening school, and that we are paying close attention to that. But our hope is to be able to give you enough notice that you'd be able to make accommodations if you had to, if that were to happen. Okay. If you're wondering, how will my child learn to do the online work or the online, to navigate the online platforms with my teacher on the first day of school? That's not going to be an expectation. So breathe deeply. All we need you to do is make sure that your child gets logged on, and the teachers will do the rest. The great news is they have like 3 months of experience of this under their belts already. So this is not the first time around. So I think we can definitely have some strong first couple of weeks. As though we start moving into the Florida Learning Virtual School, which is standards-based and more lesson-driven, the teachers will sort of chunk a piece off at a time and teach bits at a time so that it's palatable for kids. Okay. And then another question I've been getting very often from my kinder parents is, how in the world is my child going to sit in front of a screen for 3 hours? So please know your child is not going to be expected to sit in front of a screen for 3 hours. We are very well aware that their stamina will need to be developed. And so that's another piece that we'll be growing into. And teachers will be using strategies to release and pull back the kids. And they may even practice within the first week, but where we've all logged on, and now they're going to teach them how to push their mute button. They'll teach them how to use different manipulatives to show their thinking. They will teach them how to navigate and access different parts of where they need to go. But of course, in kindergarten, you're going to play an instrumental role in that process for a couple of weeks. So we do hope that there is an adult that can help and assist the student along until we get our sea legs. And some kids, though, they're the digital natives and they pick stuff up like this. And so really you just show them and they'll figure it out. So I'm not too worried about that piece. But we do want to balance the learning on and off screen. We want there to be rigor and enrichment, but we also want to, that does not mean be locked into a screen all day long. So if you're maybe thinking, well, they can do that while I'm at work, they're not going to be on screen time for 3 hours. So just keep that in mind as you're kind of figuring things out. Okay. And then we have time for me to take just a couple of questions, and then again, the rest you can put into the link that's inside of the PowerPoint. Any sort of pressing day one questions? One of the things,
I have a question.
Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez.
Hi. For the schedule, so on Wednesdays, they're going to be doing some Zoom stuff also, or is that a free day? I was a little confused about that. So
thanks, great question. Last time we were able to do what was called a virtual Friday. Forget what Fuel Up Friday. Things are different now, so the expectations have been re-established by the Department of Education. And each grade level has to have a certain amount of minutes inside of their curriculum. And that has to, in kindergarten, it has to equal 180 minutes a week or the value of 180 minutes a week. So they will have work where so with that, we can't go dark for an entire day. We've got to have the kids on 5 days a week. So Wednesdays, we will have check-in with the whole class. So what it will look like is it will do like school-wide flag virtually, but better than nothing, flag and patriotic song and school-wide announcements and just my opportunity to address the students. And then spirit days, all of that kind of stuff. And then the teachers will meet with the whole classroom, like the whole class as a classroom community, where the kids can still get to know each other inside of the class through different activities that they'll do. Then the teachers will be possibly pulling groups if they need to throughout the day. They might possibly work with 1 or 2 kids here throughout the day. Some of our enrichment and intervention teachers may work with some kiddos. That would all be set up and established though. So it wouldn't be a random thing. It would be a planned situation. And then there will be work that kids would want to be engaging in per the assignments of their teachers on those Wednesdays.
Okay.
So they're only logging in once, and as a whole classroom community.
Okay.
So really a long answer to your short question. Sometimes it helps to know the pieces though that go into that decision making. So
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
I have a question. It's Jewel Younglove.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, guys. It's good to see you. Thank you for everything you've been doing. I'm sure this is crazy. And forgive me if you already answered this. I joined a little bit late. But
Okay.
when we decide to send our kids back, if the school's open and we're not comfortable at the very beginning, that work?
So one thing we aren't going to be able to do is toggle between AM, PM, or between hybrid, in-person, and online. And so what we're going to need to do is determine what, you're going to have to make a decision of if you're going to send them or if you're going to keep them virtually. So when the time comes, I hope you have at least a week to make that decision and to make the adjustments that you need to make, because they do either need to be in person or they need to stay home. But you can't kind of like, I'm not comfortable right now, so I'm going to keep them home. I am comfortable now, so that I'm going to send them in person. However, if you decide to do virtual learning, and it's after we've moved back into the hybrid model, what you will do is the student will participate via the login on a live cam. And then there might be times where the teacher will pull those kids logged in over to a small group, work with them on the computer like this while these kids are working. That's intent. The class sizes will be small enough where the kids will be able to be put on independent work. All of the kindergarten teachers have aides to support that. And then we've got these other kiddos virtual. So aides could be working on sight words, for example, or math facts or different things with our virtual learners when it comes to independent time. With even, in couple with the kids that are in there live.
Is that if we keep them through the fall, is there potential for in the spring when we start school again to have that be a little bit different? Or is that a hard set? You choose virtual, you stay there the whole year. Is there any talk about that? Because I'm sure I'm not the only parent that's ooh, if we open in a couple of weeks, I don't know how I feel. But then, so what does that look like?
The word hard now is, I don't know that there even exists, that not even exist anymore. But I'll let you know at the time. That's the best I can do. Right now it is firm, and it's because of staffing reasons and reasons connected to our bargaining members, right? We have to care for our staff and our employees as much as our students. And so if we have to provide predictability so that for their lesson planning and for their consistency with systems and routines and assemblies and just all of the things we do at school. And so it's not realistic to kind of let parents waver. It's not realistic to the consistency or continuity of the educational program. But certainly there are always very unique circumstances that require us to be considerate of what might be going on in some families' homes.
Fair enough. Thank you guys
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Katie,
Yes.
there are questions in the chat about more iPads. I tried to call Ms. Villegas regarding checkout. It seems that all the slots are taken for Wednesday.
Yeah, so right now, we aren't giving out iPads to everybody yet. We're giving out iPads to all 5th graders right now. And we're giving out all iPads to the need to have people, like if you have no other device in your home. And then next week, we'll be giving out we would like an iPad. So I have not posted yet the schedule for that. We have the data based off of the survey that parents completed through the district and through my SMORE last week of the folks who said we do not have any devices and we will have to have an iPad. And so right now we are full for Tuesday and Wednesday, but if we can get a groove going and we feel comfortable adding another day this week, we will. So I need to message that out. It all just filled up today. So I need to send that home in a phone call tonight to clarify for everybody. But our goal is that all kids who do need a device have a device by August 21st, not by the first day of school though, because most homes have some kind of a device that would afford them the opportunity to have their kids log on for about 20 minutes at least, so but if you have no device, that's different, and you should shoot me an email, please.
Ms. Shiga, I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, this is John Relk, and I have
Hey,
three
Relk.
kids.
Yeah.
How are you? I have
Well.
a kinder first and third. So as you might imagine, well, first, thank you to you and everyone else for trying to guide us through this somewhat impossible situation. I guess what I'm wondering is just about attendance and tardy. I mean, obviously getting them set up and ready to go beforehand is certainly a goal. How are you thinking about tardy and overall attendance keeping measures? If I'm, I don't know, say a few minutes late to getting one of my three kids onto at 8:30, how are you guys going to approach that?
The same way we would if they were in person. So we are going to stick with our attendance rules. But I don't think any of us have a super strong interest on going hard on that the first couple of weeks. The reason being is that some of the research, that's surfacing is telling us that when kids are first starting, or even us, when we're first starting this type of a process, so definitely kindergartners, it takes some time. There's a whole anxiety, thing that happens to the kids. So we get that they might be 5 to 7 minutes of a leeway time, but we need you as parents to also get on the back end that we only have a certain amount of time, right? There might be most kids who log in on time and their stamina now is lost because we're waiting so we're going to still move on. So what we found last time is that kids who are late in the game feel behind the whole time. They have increased anxiety and increased wiggles because they missed the whole setup of whatever it was that they were doing. So don't worry about us and the rules on our end. I would just suggest if you have Alexa at home, that's phenomenal. Hey, Alexa, ring at this time. There's something called a working clock where you can draw a clock, use a white erase marker on a cheap clock like from Walmart or something and put it up on the wall and color in however much time the student has for cartoons or eating or whatever, and then remind them, okay, 7 more minutes. Set the device up at night, the night before. So it's really more for them and their instructional program than us at this age in kinder. For the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, they follow the truancy rules. Those are California compulsory aged grades. And so there is a whole process of 3 equals this, 6 equals a letter, and the district generates those letters automatically. So we are taking attendance every day for as if we were in school.
Gotcha. Thank you. I was also hoping, just a quick follow-up. Obviously, it would be ideal if we could sit with our child during this time period. Given that I have 3 and I'm working, I'm curious how much you guys are thinking about sort of the level of during that, during the time where they're on the meeting, how much involvement are you thinking about really from the parents? And how are your, can you just help me understand that just a bit more of, and especially as I think about 3 kids and balancing that?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where until you get into it, we won't know exactly, if I'm going to be honest, because we adopted a whole new curriculum for one of the reasons being so that parents are not the teacher of the child in the home. so that the teaching is still coming from the light, and we've implemented live teaching. So those are very new. We did not do either of those last year as mandatory pieces of the distance learning. And so we have had teachers who've taught summer school and whatnot from kinder on up, who've really helped to kind of pin down a good formula for teaching kids how to. So think of this: I, we, you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you. Let's try to practice it. Okay, now you're going to go do it by yourself. And then teachers may. So the idea though is the student will have a live camera for that whole time, but they're not going to be like having to interact with the camera like this the whole time. There might be times where their camera's on like this, and now the teacher has released them. Mute your mic, mute your volume, and now go do Schoology, which is school. They're going to teach them a platform to go into, and now the students over here doing this, they're stuck, and now maybe they raise their purple pen because I need my teacher's help. Teacher sees purple pen. Katie, I see your purple pen. What do you need help with? So the student has access to the teacher for that entire time that they're scheduled in for their AM session or their PM session. But it might not be that the teacher's talking or teaching that entire time. They're in the classroom with the student though, virtually. So that's a huge difference. In terms of how much time, exactly what a parent needs, totally up to your kids. It's up to how well they can adjust to the new platforms and to the expectations. But that goes back to what Ms. Duff was saying, is you would want to email your teachers, right, and communicate with them and work in partnership with them, because they can do one-on-one conferences with the kids and really help a lot to increase engagement, even virtually.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question. This is Rachel Benson. I've got a third grader, Harrison, and my daughter Claire is starting. On your slide with the first day of school, just wanted to clarify. I saw like it says the meeting's just 10 minutes.
Yeah, so your first day of school is short because we're going to, yeah. So it's like they're going to get all fired up and then they'll be like, that was it, So kind of let them know they're just meeting their teacher. Today you get to meet your teacher. Just do it more like that. And they'll do a little icebreaker and a get to know you, but we're thinking it would be about a half an hour. I mean, realistically, about a half an hour. Okay. That's just their login time. They're going to probably play a little game, a little name game, or just something like that. Because then you get to drive to the school and see her in person, and they've got little goodie bags for your kiddos and things like that.
Okay. Is that just for kindergarten or?
Just for kinder on the very first day. We are going to have a meet and greet with a supply drive because all teachers want to do a little bag like that for their kids. So we're going to send a schedule for that after back to school night. Okay. We've ordered a bunch of supplies that we're also going to give to your children. And so we're waiting for those to come in before we schedule it for the other grades.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Sorry, just a quick follow-up on that. With the other kids that have school at the same time, everyone's starting on Thursday, right? So correct. If we're doing a pickup in the morning when the other two, or however many other people have as well, is there any obviously like the broader coordination of this is next to impossible. So, but when I think about trying to bring one kid up and then have the other ones drop off their school, is there a way that we can manage around the other kids' schedules as well for these types of things? Yep.
So we've scheduled it in the later afternoon because all of the classes will be at reduced times that day to some degree because it's just the first day. Does that help? So So by the time your designated time arrives, or however you want to say that, the other kiddos will be out of school. Will be logged off. You're welcome.
Mrs. Shaka, sorry. This is Taylor Cherry. I'm his mom. He's coming in as kinder. We were just curious about any type of IEP services and how they're getting scheduled in with the week and with the PM schedule and where we're located, and just so I can kind of give him like a visual as to what his day is going to look like and kind of like front load that. So I was just wondering when we'd get more information on like when speech would be, if it would be before we start our PM schedule, or if it's going to be during Wednesday time, and how that's kind of going to get ironed out, I guess.
Yep, super great question. If you have students who may require or benefit from intervention of any kind, or even enrichment programs as we weave those in, those will take place more than likely outside of your login time. So there's two teachers, Mrs. Stiller and Mrs. Lamb. And so one of those will be reaching out to you. One of those women will be reaching out to you before school starts to ask you just to check in with you and talk about that. Okay. And any parent with a student with an IEP.
Great. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. And I just want to honor everyone's time. We're almost a half hour over, but I know we started late, and gosh, I'm so sorry for the login issues. I wish I'd have known that would happen. But again, it is recorded. I'll post it out. I'll send it to everyone. We encourage you to ask questions. It helps us to also think things through more deeply. And we just can't wait to meet your kids. I know this is weird, but you know what? We're making the best of it. So we're really excited. Okay. All right, everybody. So be Mustang strong, right? We got this together. You find your teacher out on the 11th. You can go into Aries on the 11th, but we're going to send out emails. Your teacher will send you an email like from her, and I'm your child's teacher on the 12th. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a really great rest of your day, and we'll see you Thursday. Thanks, teachers.
Bye.
Thank you, Mrs. Shaka.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Mrs. Shaka. How may I